Everyone for coming. Land acknowledgement. I'd like to begin by acknowledging we're on the traditional lands of Wasova First Nation, part of Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We all rise for the singing of O Canada. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons command, with glowing hearts we see rise the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you very much, everyone. I forgot to mention that today is Wednesday, July the 16th of 2025. Item number 8, approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as circulated? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. Moved by Councillor Daniel Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item number 9, if there's any declarations of conflict of interest, please notify me and I'll make sure that our recording secretary, Jenny Porter, notes that in the meeting minutes, and please step away from the table once you do so. Item number 10, approval of the minutes. You have that in your package. Is there any errors or omissions? No one specified, therefore I declare that the minutes are be approved as presented. Item number 11, presentations. The first one I have is from the
well, we can start with Frank.
yeah, I don't see Greg here, so we'll start with Frank. We have with us today Frank Grant, our Director of Recreation. Apparently he's been out and about and doing a lot of things because he's walking in with a wounded right wing. Hopefully
I'm a boxer
you're
in my spare time, so you should see the other guy.
all right. Yeah, I'm sure you missed. You might hit the wall, right?
No, it's a tractor. No. It's the tractor story.
The tractor story. All right, Frank, I'll turn this over. If you want to give us a quick story about a tractor, you just remember that eats into your time.
Do I have ability here to move back and forth?
Yes,
Look
you
at
do.
that, I do. Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Warden, members of council, thank you for having me for a few minutes to talk about recreation. It's been a busy few months getting ready for the busy summer that we have planned, and already lots of things happening and on our facilities and programs and our active living programs, and I'll just touch on a few, and I guess if there's any questions, just stop me as we go. I do want to mention before we get going talking about some of the operations of our department, just key functions of Yarmouth Recreation is that we provide seasonal programming for all ages with an approach to augment, not duplicate current community opportunities already being offered. So if great things are happening with our neighbors at Argyle Recreation or the Mariner Center or Mariners on Main or Tri-County Women's Center, we tell our community about those activities and we try to see what's not being offered and offer those programs through our lineup. We have quality recreation facilities, both indoor and outdoor, and make them available for rent at very affordable rates. This includes municipal facilities as well as community schools. So one of the things we're quite proud of is that even before the era of accessibility and equity, we have always had great support from previous councils to keep our room rates low. And it's very similar to our program rates. We always say it shouldn't matter what family incomes are. Everyone should be able to attend a program or to rent a community school for a birthday party or a function. Provide capacity building and navigation support to local community organizations. We liaise with numerous community groups out there, and we partner with them or give them advice or loan them equipment. There's a whole bunch of ways we help build community capacity. We also follow trends that are happening in the world of recreation, physical activity, and leisure with a view to continuously improve our offerings. We like to brag the community up. We have various recognition activities and events to highlight our community champions. For example, volunteer awards. Through our Make Your Move Yarmouth activities, we're often highlighting people that are physically active and doing great things to try to put some real faces on what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. And we liaise and work closely with other municipal recreation departments in the Valley and South Shore, and through our Recreation Nova Scotia to ensure the best possible outcomes for projects and planning. Our team, very proud of our team. Myself as director, John Darcy is our facilities coordinator, Matthew Smith is our community recreation coordinator, Jillian Camo, our community engagement officer, and Molly Spinney is our active living coordinator. And of course, we're supplemented with lots of seasonal staff throughout the year, but summertime is the busiest. Summer staff with summer day camp programs, working with John Darcy on our facilities, mowing and lining fields, are some of the examples of where we help employ some of our youth in the area. Our priorities, we provide recreation programming and services for residents of both the municipality and town of Yarmouth. We strive to improve the quality and condition of our facilities, increase the availability of recreation leisure programming for area residents, and ensure optimal customer service. We are also committed to our physical activity strategy for our citizens and are part of the Nova Scotia Make Your Move program. We are one of the 7 most active communities in the province. And I guess I like to think we're one of the most active communities, but it was kind of neat to be selected by the province. So they're reaffirming what I already know. Challenges. So as we know, we are approaching that 2030 date where the province wants every public facility fully accessible. That date had been extended beyond because I think the province didn't realize how bad a lot of our public facilities are. But as we know, with renovations happening here, we've had renovations happening at our Rotary Center. That is something that is high on the priority, is that we're going to be looking at how we can make our facilities more available. It could be just as simple as widening a door, or maybe some landscaping to make things more accessible for someone that has mobility issues. But that is a priority, and hopefully the province will continue to fund projects because they've helped tremendously over the last few years. Community volunteers, we wouldn't be the community that we are without community volunteers. All those groups, minor sports, community organizations, are dependent on community volunteers, and we play a role with some recruiting and retaining, some workshops, you know, being facilitators for first aid courses, whatever it may be, to help support those community groups. Trying to get people moving more and being more physically active. That ties in with our physical activity strategy and the Make Your Move project. So Molly Spinney leads that program, and we're always looking at different ways to try to get people moving more. For example, we have a Hike Nova Scotia badge system now for people that like to walk trails. Once they walk certain trails and have so many steps involved, they may qualify to get a badge. And they move on to the next level and get another badge. Another project is connecting people with birds. So we have a number of bird houses that are going up in places along where people walk to try to encourage birds to nest and give people a different look on their walks, that they may be seeing different types of bird habitats. So the other thing is, another key challenge is we know that our recreation facilities are aging. Maintenance and replacement costs can be an issue. It seems like since COVID, everything has just doubled or tripled in costs. So we do what we can with the funds that we have and try to be as creative as possible. One of the creative things that I just heard of yesterday was the Rotary Center has had a accessibility upgrade. We're getting some new siding, so we're looking at taking the old siding and making them into roofs for our dugouts at our ball fields. So there's a way that we can save some money and keep that old siding as a metal roof on a dugout. Many successes. You know, we just had the presentation on our active transportation plan, so that's really neat how that will be laid out for council and lay a number of projects in all of our districts to get people moving more. The accessibility renovations, as I mentioned, at the Rotary Center include washrooms, entryways, siding, roof, walkways. Great project. Thank you again to council for the support on that. We always have a great Canada Day, and those events are always free, but we are very proud that we're able to do a number of things that are at very low costs, like our lake parties at Milo, the Switch Open Street, which has changed this summer. It'll be switched to Marginal Wharf. We are switching and having our event on Marginal Wharf this year, the end of July and August. The Haunted Tickpock Trail in Arcadia, the Jack-o'-lantern Parade, tree lightings, all those events are free to the public. I already mentioned our Hike Nova Scotia badges and how well they're being received. Our summer day camps are always well attended. One of the things we hear is that some camps out there for summer, you know, that maybe what is popular with our camps is that we theme a lot of the days. So there's different themes, there's planned activities where maybe some other camps have more free play and it's more supervision than actual activities or water days or pirate days or things like that. Equipment loan, we have received some funding in the past for equipment loan programs, so we do have an online service that people can go online and easily select a number of pieces of equipment to loan out, to have at home, in their backyard, or for a birthday party. And the Dragon Boat Regatta is in its second year since we revived that. Probably about 15 years ago when we got our dragon boats, we did regattas every summer, and then the interest kind of faded, but we're bringing that back and in our second year, and we already have 4 teams registered for the August event. So that's recreation in a quick nutshell. If there's any questions or anything, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden. Just a quick question. You mentioned schools. Are all of the local schools in the municipality available for rental to the public, the gymnasiums?
They are in some ways. Some places we have carte blanche about booking. Some other areas we have some limitations on bookings, but for example, our smaller community schools in Carleton and Port Maitland, we do have nights of activity, but we have issues because of janitorial finishes earlier in the evenings. Meadowfields, Maple Grove, Yarmouth Elementary, they have staff on until 10 o'clock. So if we end our activities at 9, they have an hour to tidy up the washrooms and the gymnasium space. On some nights, we aren't able to get into Carleton or Port Maitland because of custodial issues. We are working on that. We have great partnerships with the schools. One of the issues that we have is that when someone's looking for a gym and if there's nothing available, and we suggest Carleton or Port Maitland, they often say, oh, it's too far to drive. Most of we're looking for somewhere closer to town. But that's something that we're working on and trying to improve. But we do have some activities happening there. We don't have, 5 to 7 nights a week, but we're trying to do the best we can with what we got.
Okay.
But the school's principals are very supportive of what we do.
Very good, thank you.
Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Frank. Good presentation. What about baseball, Frank? Something near and dear to your heart. What does Yarmouth Recreation, Yarmouth Leisure Services, what do we do, what ball fields do we take care of now?
So if you're discussing baseball only, minor baseball has Mariners Field, Travelers Field, Veterans Field,
That's all out on Forest Street.
all on 4th Street, St. Ambrose Field on Southeast Street as part of the Gateway
Gateway Park.
Park and Track Complex. Milton Field is another popular one for minor baseball. And our fields in Hebron are primarily used for co-ed slow pitch.
Yep.
But we do have, from time to time, we do adapt them for baseball, mainly when there's tournaments.
So we just got done our presentation from the people with the active transportation. We just got done a little session, and they mentioned a couple times about some walking opportunities in some of the old baseball parks, or the older ball fields like in Overton and Greenville. We don't take care of Brazil Lake, do we?
No, Brazil Lake is a community-owned field that is used by the Recreation Baseball League.
Okay, is there any other ones that are being used that are out of our control?
Our neighbors in Argyle operate the Tusket Field as
Okay.
well.
And that's the only one in Argyle?
That
Is
is
that a good
the
question?
only baseball field in Argyle. Yep, they have a couple softball diamonds, but
Okay.
for baseball, it's a...
And the other one is, I know he works under you, is Matt Smith. How's the rugby going?
Rugby is growing leaps and bounds.
So where do they go? Where do they play?
So they play at the Yarmouth High Field. They do not have uprights on they've been trying to get approval to get some uprights put on the soccer nets. So they have a mobile system right now that they put up and take down, but other than that, they're growing, very popular. I think they've probably doubled their membership since they just started a couple years ago.
Good. Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Any more questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you very much.
All right, next presentation. Yarmouth International Airport Corporation. We have with us today Mr. Greg Shea, our intern manager out there at the airport. So I'll give you a second to sit down, get situated. When you're ready, turn on your red button. I'll turn on your mic and you'll have our undivided attention. There we go.
All right, am I controlling this slide, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, you're controlling it, not me.
Okay. All right, So, thank you, council, for the opportunity this evening to just spend a few minutes and speak about the Yarmouth Airport. I thought for a little bit about what I was going to say to you in 10 minutes that would be interesting and not a regurgitation of the same old story about what our troubles are and who our clients are, and show you pie charts of our expenses and our revenues. So I thought I would try to just give you a little information that might help pique your interest about what's going on at the airport and why you should continue to invest in the airport. Some things we're doing behind the scenes that I think are quite interesting, but they're not things that you see every day. They're not tangible. You can't touch them right now or see them happening on the ground, but I think they'll hopefully lead to some things that are positive. So certainly, always trying to manage expectations. That's a business you guys are used to being in, I think, and so same here. We're not here to give you any shocking news or tell you things are going to be lift off tomorrow with passenger service around the region, although I know everybody would like to see that. But we'll just spend a few minutes. I just want to look at 4 or 5 initiatives that we're working on, go over them quickly at a high level to share them with you. And then, but just before we do that, I will just remind you of the asset that we have out there, what's at your disposal and what's at our disposal, and what we have to work with. I don't know, how familiar all you are with the airport, the last time you've been through the airport and seen it or understand it at all, but so just at a very high level. This is the property here. You're looking at over 600 acres. I can't point it out with a pointer, but there is quite an extensive bit of real estate around that airport. You can see the 2 main runways and then the cluster of built infrastructure just about in the center of the diagram that contains some buildings that I'll list to you. And then further to the southeast, I think it is, you'll see some wooded area on either side of the old camp and where Acadian Seaplants is. That's also real estate that belongs to the airport and is surplus. So even up around the runways, there's more real estate there than we need to operate a runway. So there's some opportunity there, hopefully, for the future. So, just some of the things. So this is what what you have with there. You have over 600 acres of a land that's suitable for industrial and commercial development. We do have 2 working paved runways. One is 5,000 feet, is 6,000 feet, and the associated lighting systems that are with those, the approach lighting and the ground lighting that guides the aircraft onto the field and through the taxiways and to the apron systems in front of the terminal. We've got an air terminal building that's 12,000 square feet. That's 2-story, plus includes a tower that houses offices and event space. There's a kitchenette area in there and could be multi-purposed. There's a 70,000-foot combined service building in there, so that's basically a garage that has about 7 or 8 bays with oversized doors on it that houses our equipment for snow plowing, lawn mowing, and various other maintenance and repair items and equipment and tools. We've got a 4,000 square foot, we've got a 10,000-foot main hangar. That's the picture of what you see in the corner there. It's a very good modern hangar in really good shape. We've got a 4,000 square foot secondary, it should say, hangar and office space. That's commonly known as the old Coast Guard hangar, and right now we have tenants in that hangar doing various things. We have a third hangar. It's about 5,000 square feet. It's a fixer-upper. It's in rougher shape, but it is okay now for some passive storage opportunities. And then we also have a 4,000 square foot meeting space and office building that is outside of the fence proper on the site. It's not in operation right now, but it's a good structure that could use some refurbishing and refit and could become another active asset in supporting some industries and some activities in the community. And so what I want you to think about while I'm listing these is what would be the replacement cost of these, right? What would it take if we lost those now? How would we ever get them back? What it would cost to replace them? We also have a field electrical center. We have a center that hosts all of our electrical infrastructure, and it's a heartbeat. It includes a diesel backup genset. So there's quite a powerhouse there. It's on supply with backup power through the diesel genset to keep us operating. And of course, there's a whole raft of rolling stock and movable equipment that are all over the site that keep the place going and operating. So that's just a little bit, I want to just give you a little bit of a background on what assets you have there at your disposal and that we're trying to work with. There's a variety of intangible assets too, but I won't get into those tonight. I'm not going to get into governance. We've talked about that many times, although I will say I'm happy to say that there's a new intermunicipal agreement that's recently been executed and certainly brings a lot more certainty to us, to the board, and to potential partners and lenders. So it's good to have that on the books and inked. So the next one I will get into is number 7. Just very quickly, again, I don't want to dwell too long on operations, but just to give you a flavor, operations overview, we, in 25-26, our operating budget was $1.62 million, or it is, that's the year that we're in now. There's a base operating budget of $1.2 million, and then we have several other special initiatives or special projects that we prioritize and work on and try to highlight every year and execute. So it's variable about the execution success on those, but we do budget for them, and they're items that come forward through budget processes and through board deliberations, and we try to act on them. We do have a full-time staff of 10 people there. We have one ops supervisor. We have one full-time admin position. We have 1.5 line service people. We have 2 full-time maintenance repair people and 4.5 in the tower. We're essentially a 24/7, 365 operation. And that's largely to service NAVCAN's weather contract that we have with them. We also provide Unicom services, obviously, to local flying aviators and the flying community. We don't control the airspace, but we do have Unicom and give lots of support for local weather conditions and lots of traffic conditions. We have tenants on site that lease spaces. We have Spiria Robotics. We have JMJ Metal Fab. We have Waste Check. We have Casera. The local air search and rescue, civil air search and rescue organization that does a lot of work with Coast Guard and offshore search and rescue. And we have the Environment Canada Climate Change, that's the federal department. They're there in 2 different spaces. They have a high altitude balloons program that they operate out of the airport, and they have a fixed ground weather station that is at the airport. And of course, some of our other revenues come from landing and terminal fees, Jet A fuel sales, and avgas sales. Just quickly, I'll just highlight some of our major expenses. They are the most largest expenses, labor, of course. And then our next one would be energy costs, including liquid fuels and electricity, followed by major repairs and maintenance expenses that are not routine. And then the next largest expenses would be a combination of property taxes and insurances. A quick, again, overview of some of the challenges and distractions that we do have before we get into the initiatives that I want to share with you. The site does contain PFAS, the pre and per polyfluorocarbonyl substances, often known as the forever chemicals. It's growing in popularity now in the press and across the media across the country. There are some legal actions taking place with that from various venues, and including Transport Canada. We'll see how that plays out and where the airport fits in that file, but it certainly is, it's a concern and an issue for us that we're grappling with, the board is grappling with. Lots of deferred maintenance. The runways were built in the 40s to support the Second World War effort. There's generally been very little upkeep or maintenance. Certainly no significant investment made in the infrastructure since then, so there's lots of deferred maintenance on the runways, the runway lighting, and on all the buildings. These are distractions that take us away from everyday business development. We have Jet A storage capacity issues. Our Jet A delivery truck is aging. Some of the intangibles are that we have a lack of a market presence. You know, the airport has kind of been overlooked and forgotten in the recent past. We're not part of, say, the aviation world, although we're trying to turn that around. So it's difficult sometimes to get traction and support and get understanding, including community support. Those things impact our ability to find business and attract business, but we're working on those. Clearly, speaking in terms of regional air travel, the demographics here just do not support traditional regional air service. We do not have a business case for that. So, the horse is dead on that, so it's time to dismount. We need to move on to some other things to use that asset to generate some other types of economic activity in the area. We just seen a recent example where PASCAN tried to stand up a service to support a number of regional connections in the region, including Sydney and to Halifax, and within 2 or 3 months of the service standing up, they've just recently announced they're going to end that in August. So it's a very, very challenging business. There's not a lot of competition. It's highly regulated and very competitive, and we just, unfortunately, we don't have the demographics here to make a business case. So that's one we deal with a lot. And then finally, another challenge or constraint is surplus land. There's a lot of debate about the land that we have. There's discussions go on at different levels over time. Is it underutilized? Is it surplus? What do we do with it? Do we really need it? What should we do with it? So those are some of the things that we're grappling with a lot at the board level and other council levels as well. So let's get into something a little more positive. Some of the initiatives that we're working on. This one is an aerospace initiative. In April of 1st of 2024, we entered into a 5-year lease with a private sector business called Sperry Robotics. Sperry is an operator in the aerospace sector. They're a private business based in Halifax. They design, test, and manufacture UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. They also, part of their complement of the product that they're designing and building and bringing to commercialization is an ARC, which is, I think it's an automated remote control. And the acronym for that is automated remote control. I'm not sure I have that 100% correct. But essentially what it is a 20-foot container that they put in the middle of nowhere that remotely controls a fleet of drones that are used for a variety of purposes. I would describe them as a late-stage startup. They are approaching commercial production, and they're doing some small assembly at the site now, but it's not really full-scale production. They're still building out commercial and still developing their contracts. So they do a lot of testing and manufacturing and design work. They do have contracts with D&D, RCMP, and Province of Nova Scotia, so there is some optimism and a lot going on there behind the scenes with Sperry. We've at the airport, we've been very pleased to have them there, as has the board, and we see them as a potential bright light for the future of the airport. So we've gone out of our way to help them and make them feel comfortable in the community. So some of the things that we've done, directly for the airport's benefit, we've negotiated a multi-year lease with this organization that rents office space from us, they rent hangar space from us, and they rent airspace from us. So we've helped them help them we've put repeater towers throughout in the community to help them with some of their testing and their visual out of line of sight comms with their drones as they test them. One of the attractions to coming to Yarmouth was the proximity to water and the fact that we had some control over the Port of Yarmouth. So, for example, we installed a receiver tower on top of the Tri-Canada Regional Center Education Building downtown Water Street. We were able to do that because we control the building. They're a tenant of the ports, and it was necessary to do that to help them make their comms connections from there over to the airport. So we're doing whatever we can to help them. We've introduced them to a lot of the contracting communities. Some of the work that's been done on the site has been done by local contractors to help them out. We were driving them around the site. There's a VOR building on the site. It's out in the middle of a field. It's owned by Navcan, and it's been decommissioned by them, but it used to be part of the positioning and systems for the aircraft coming in, guidance systems. It's been decommissioned. So they have identified that as being a valuable asset to contribute towards the effort that someone in their space does in that business. So we're working now with Navcan to take ownership of that site. And make it part of the asset inventory that we have as an offering to this industry, so they can come down here and do things. We've provided labor and machinery on site, on demand, at a fee, to help them with lots of things, placing assets, procuring assets, fitting up assets, doing electrical work, and so on. And right now I'm working with them to try to secure a berth space at Killiff's Wharf in Yarmouth for a Rosboro boat that they want to bring here to help augment their waterside testing drone operations. So it's just some of the things that we do to try to, you know, make this client be successful, make them feel comfortable in the community, want them to continue to grow and invest, and hopefully create an ecosystem that will bring some other industries here. See, there's some of the benefits that I see coming from the Sperry relationship. It will certainly create new revenue streams for us in the spaces that we're renting and leasing. It opened the door to us and me personally to the aerospace sector through joining different associations that they belong to and who represent the aerospace sector in the province. It's opened the door to the defense sector. For example, NATO Diana Group is a presence in North America, particularly in Halifax. It assists us in helping proof of concept and trying to find out, you know, whether we can be an anchor for that industry. And Sperry has certainly been very supportive and expressed their interest in being a collaborative anchor tenant for us and helping us build that out. So it'll help us to identify the gaps that we in our organization and in our infrastructure, soft and hard assets to support the sector. It's going to create demand for skilled labor in the area, and that brings the NSCC in. It's a skilled set that you need there to design, to code, to build, to assemble, to operate these things, and they see a play here for NSCC to be involved in training and providing skilled labor. And obviously, I hope that they grow someday to scale on the manufacturing level. And so all these are just all the things that we'd like to see come about and that we're trying to work on and grow them out and to grow it through them and with them to grow an industry in Yarmouth and specifically at the airport. Another initiative that we've undertaken, this one's been completed. Last year in fiscal 24-25, we went to market to try to find a professional and a consultant who could do an extensive SWOT analysis for us and help develop the beginnings of an FDI toolkit. We went to market. We found through that process Explorer Solutions, which is a subsidiary of the Lumex Group, which is a national-wide organization. This was a partnership, 50-50, funded by Global Affairs Canada. We made it through their program or awarded a contract with them. We had a $75,000 budget on that, and it came in at $55,000. But more importantly were the results of the study. It was a very exhaustive study, and I can't go into all the details that were here, but it covered a myriad of areas, including micro and macro factors that affect the aviation industry and the airports. It compared us to other airports and aerodromes in Canada and in the region. We looked at governance models for us. It explored world and economic conditions in relation and context of aviation and the future of aviation and where it's going. It looked at aircraft technology. We looked at revenue driving opportunities. We looked at funding mechanisms. And there's also a number of stakeholder consultations throughout that process that helped inform their final report. Some of the outcomes from that analysis were over 200 pages of detailed analysis, comparatives, and industry intelligence. There were 31 recommendations that resulted from that analysis. There were 7 individual SWOT analyses that were focused on looking at the airport through the lens of being a regional asset, just looking at, you know, how we could support the business sector generally in the community. There was a SWOT analysis at looking at how we could engage globally with different industries. And then there were some industry-specific SWOT analyses looking specifically at the UAV space, fisheries, and tourism. And finally, we had a SWOT analysis that helped give us a little bit of intel on what we looked like from the perspective of a site selector. So there's a lot of data to mine through there and a lot of information to work through. And it also gave us a healthy list of contributors and contacts to make connections with in the future. The board spent some time on the multitude of recommendations. We developed a scoring matrix for those, and the board came up with, there's a lot of recommendations we would like to act on over time, but the board did come up with 5. The board scored them, and these were the top 5 that come out of that process. One was to bulk up on the skill set and experiences of the task force that we have. Well, another was to examine the viability of being a hub to support UAV sector within the aerospace industry, including research, design, prototyping, testing, training, manufacturing, and all things aerospace. 3 was to cultivate relationships with several UAV businesses that have received funding through a COSA REGI stream. The 4th that scored highest was secured funding to modernize, build assets, and extend runway life. That's a priority in any event of the task force and the board. And the 5th one was to work with local agencies to identify and act on opportunities in the business development and support. So it's early days for that. We just received that before fiscal 24-25 ended, so say in the winter months of 25. We're still we're trying to work in some respects towards that. We're beefing up our task force. I'll get into a couple of the other initiatives that lead from that too as we go down through this list. But there's a wealth of information in that report, and we'll be able to mine from that for quite some time to come. So another initiative that we're doing that's kind of, off the record, you don't see it happening, but it's in the works. This is a segue from the SWOT analysis, and one of the next steps that they'd like us to take, or that we should take, is to build out our story and to build out our vision and our pitch. To develop some marketing collateral and have some tools that we can use when we're in the marketplace. We're meeting connections, we're meeting potential partners and collaborators. So we're going to develop a toolkit and resources for marketing and promoting YQI. We're looking at different industry sectors, different global jurisdictions with different audiences, and we'll have a variety of strategic tools and supports to help us out in the marketplace making our pitch. This is another partner with Global Affairs Canada. We were awarded a second project with them after a successful first one. I'm not going to disclose the budget right now because the RFP is in play right now, but it is 50-50 cost shared with GAC. There's 4 distinct models in this RFP. One is an overall marketing strategy and visual identity development. The second module is marketing to develop marketing and promotional materials. Third will be our website rebuild and redesign. And finally, if budget allows, we'd like to do a short video production that we have available for different promotional events. That tender is out now. It closes on the 18th, which is coming up, and the expectation of the project would be before the end of this fiscal 25-26. Another initiative is not quite as glamorous, but it's very important. It's ongoing. We started this last year. Just quickly, I'll tell you that, if you want to be an airport, you need a runway. So it's very important to the board and my task force that we try to find a way to extend the life of this aging infrastructure. So there's been no, major work done on it. It's just some patchwork over the years. It's not holding up. The field electrical system, the lighting system is theoretically at end of life, although it is still working. So we did engage Tetra Tech Inc. in 2024 to start us on the road toward the old cliche shovel ready. It's going to take a while to get there, and it's an expensive road to travel, but we have started it. Tasks 1 and 2 were to do pre-design and Class C estimates. That had a $96,000 budget, and at the end of March 25, it was about 60% complete. We are at a point right now where we have to have some meetings and some discussions with the board to make some decisions before we complete that. But if we proceed, there's multiple other steps. These will probably these will not happen overnight. That will take some time in the future to exercise, and a lot of that will all depend on the availability of funding going forward. So we'll have to see where it is. But the board and the task force did want us to be in a position where if we found investment opportunity, leverage opportunity, and from whatever levels, we would at least be ready to go with the document, with the engineering, and with the Class C estimates and all the design work that would help us make the decisions about what we need, and what it's going to cost and what it's going to look like, what's going to take to build it. So that's kind of the road we're on right now. We may continue in this year to finish tasks 1 and 2, but we need to have some more board discussions about see where we go next. Given that we're, like I said, over 60% complete in the pre-design work, and now there's some decisions that need to be made before the consultant can proceed. And I think the final one for now is, I'll just wrap up with an ACOA concept paper initiative that I started this spring. Again, it follows a little bit along the SWOT analysis. It follows from my discussions with our tenant Sperry. It follows from discussions through my colleagues that I'm meeting and getting introduced to at ACADA and at ACAA. And that is to really explore in depth the idea that we might be able to support the aerospace sector at the Yarmouth Airport. Okay, so we'd like to assess the feasibility of this idea in becoming an aerospace sector ecosystem. So it would support all stages of design, testing, prototyping, assembly and manufacture, training, soft supports like business setup support, regulatory support, and so on. Right now, we're still in the concept paper stage. We made the submission in mid-June. I do know that ACOA has taken some interest and it's under discussion in their offices, but at this point I don't have permission to proceed with the full application. I do have support from Invest Nova Scotia, from Ignite Atlantic, who has expressed an interest in collaborating with us on it. I have support from our main anchor, Sperry, and more recently I've just got support from NSCC to help in this initiative as well. So I don't know what the budget will be for this. We're looking at least maybe $100,000 with the cost sharing from ACOA. So this is still early stages, it's concept paper stage. I would like to get it executed this year and get it going. I did not budget for it in 25, 26, so I might be back to see you. But I think it's a really important initiative for the airport to build on the momentum that is starting at the airport. And the timing, the geopolitical timing is right as well now for us to engage with the rest of the country in trying to find our way and be part of some world national solutions. These are just some of the questions that I have, just to give you a flavor of what a concept paper and what a feasibility would look like. This is certainly not intended to be the scope, but we want to know who the industry is and what defines them. We want to know how large it is regionally and nationally. We want to look at their growth trajectory and what the sector's market potential is. I think it's big now, but I think it's going to continue to grow. What are its KSIs, for example? You know, what infrastructure does it need to be successful? What infrastructure is there at Yarmouth now, and where are our gaps that we need to invest in to support them and be successful, right? What does the aerospace sector look like now in HRM? Anecdotally, there's comments about it being saturated right now, so there might be some room for outward expansion or at least collaboration with some existing sites in Halifax and HRM, and maybe there's room for Yarmouth now to be a little more attractive, and certainly what would the business model look like for YQI as a facility, because we don't want to, if we do this, we have to do it on the basis that the airport can be self-sustaining going forward. This will be a new business model for the airport. Not its entire business model, but a new business model that would add to its, hopefully, sustainability going forward into the future. That's it, folks. There's several opportunities for YQI. I won't list them all, but I think there's opportunity there with the right investment and effort and time and focus and vision, and that's where we're at. There's some things happening, and hopefully it'll bear fruit in the future.
Thank you very much, Greg. I guess we have some questions. Councillor Jim Baxter, you have the floor.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you, Greg. Very exciting, the thought of the possibility of manufacturing jobs coming down this way, and a partnership with NSCC. That's not my question, that's my comment. My question is on slide 20, the last bullet on the SWOT analysis. You probably don't need to look at it. It's just a question on perspective of site selector. What is that?
A site selector is an agent that an extra national or even a national-based company could hire to go and find a site for them. They'll have criteria they want, if they want to invest in a community or in part of a country or in a region, to set up a shop or a plant or whatever it is. Could be a manufacturing plant to a call center. But they typically engage professionals to go out in the field and look and see, try to start the first round of due diligence to see what is the assets there that they need to check off their box that they would be interested in investing in.
So yeah,
That's
whether a property fits their needs.
That's roughly
then.
what it,
Okay.
does the property meet the basic needs for them to begin a deeper look into investing in that area?
Perfect, thank you, Greg.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham, you already have
Yeah,
the
thanks,
floor.
Greg. More of a comment than a question, but I am heartened by the fact that you sort of started off by saying, what would this cost to get back in the community? So we do have a site, which is a positive thing, and we've kind of learned that through any of our business here, or any business will generate revenues for the area or economic activity. You've got to have some infrastructure. Now, the infrastructure is maybe not quite where we want it, but it is important to have that infrastructure, like our business park, for instance, we're extending that, and without having something for somebody to come with, some built assets, you're not very attractive. So we are, I think, we're at the beginning, as you're pointing out, but I like the fact that, you've done the SWOT analysis, or the airport board's done the SWOT analysis, and you're looking to attract business and have the visibility of the Yarmouth International Airport sort of out there more, so,
Yeah.
we could have some of these prospective businesses come to town and make the airport even more of a going concern than it is, so, thank you.
That's our aspiration, yes.
Councillor Lorne Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Greg, it seems like you've got a lot going on with the airport, and I just want to say thank you for your efforts. And, with all the fingers you've got out there, hopefully someone will bite one of them, and you can bring it back home here, right? So that's good. Thank you very much for all this information and your hard work and in your committees. Thank you.
Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Greg. I think you've been in the airport business longer than anybody else in the municipal world, haven't you? Right back from your Chamber of Commerce days?
I don't know, Phil. I honestly have to say this has been a steep learning curve for me. The file was only given to me a couple years ago on an interim basis. I would not say I'm steeped in the aviation. It's been a learning curve. I've been around for a while. I've been on the
Maybe that's what I meant.
peripheries of the airport and
Yeah.
peripheries of boards as part of being part of municipal staff, but
But even
total
in
immersion has only started a couple years ago.
But even your Chamber of Commerce days, you were.
Chamber of Commerce days, I guess we would have been a little bit touched on a
Yeah,
little bit, but not to the
and you
extent.
said a couple things that I was really interested in, and when you talked about shovel ready, so it comes right from the Prime Minister to the Melanie Jolie for industry, right to Premier Houston, right to, we're all at the Federation of Nova Scotia Municipalities, to the Deputy Minister, Paul LaFleche, who said, get them up and get them shovel ready so you can get them out of the door, right? So that's one thing I really liked what you said. And the other one is the connectivity between the airport and the Port of Yarmouth too. I think there's a combination of assets there that would be very within a mile of each other, right? So you usually don't have that in other situations.
We are very fortunate to have those two assets under the same umbrella, so to speak, even though legally they're separated. But we do have common interests and a common ability to manage those, and it's been helpful. It's been helpful, yes, to attract business to do so. We have some other irons in the fire, too, that I didn't mention that include the port along with the airport. So, yeah, there's potential great synergies there, and they can support each other. And they can also, they can support other industries that need that type of, they need the security of both of those assets being able to work with them and provide, for example, I'll say it to those who are listening in town right now, we need access to Killam's Wharf to tender a Roseboro boat for our tenant, and we're having difficulty getting that.
Okay.
We need that to support this tenant and support future tenants.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. Anyways, it's a very good. What about, and the other thing you touched upon was the amount of land that we had at the airport itself?
Yeah.
Would you ever, and you've seen 50 to 100 different scenarios over the last few years, would you ever put all your eggs in one basket and do, I know it's been suggested to do one runway, but, and the other thing is it's pretty hard when you're talking about surplus land, is what you really give it the try this time, and go out and you do all the avenues that you're talking about, from the drones to all the other things, is it's pretty hard to get rid of land, because once it's gone, right? So you gotta make sure you exhaust all avenues before you go down that avenue, don't you, or that runway?
We're in a bottleneck right now. We have an obstacle in front of us. One of the things we need to be successful for the industry is to have land available for the industry to invest on and build on. Land doesn't need to be sold necessarily, it can be leased. It's a successful model at other airports in the region. Long-term leases with private sector investment on them. The problem we're having right now is my resources have been cut a bit this year. I had a plan to do a small subdivision project to test that and be ready with some lots, but I can't do that right now because I don't have the financial resources, so I have to figure a way around that, and I'm going to figure a way around it one way or the other. The answer to the runway questions, we have lots of real estate, the surplus, that would not impair operating the runways. Okay, so to invest in, to build and develop and subdivide and invest in infrastructure and to support industry. We could find FDI or even national investors. I don't know about the future of one of the runways. You know, I think we'll be very fortunate to save one runway, I think. So if we lose another runway, that provides even more surplus real estate. We're not looking at anything right now that would close a second runway and try to divest or try to do something with the real estate. But I think the reality and the asset, the life cycle of that asset is going to dictate us to assume about whether it's usable or not. And then that's going to be the key for us, the sign for us that we can no longer use it. And then we'll have to see what happens with the real estate. But I think we'll be fortunate if we can find investment dollars for our main runway, the longest one, 6,000 foot, the 0624 runway. But as far as subdivision goes, like, we're stalled out a little bit right now because we don't have an offering right now. If an FDI, if a site selector has a client and they find our site, we are on the Atlantic Canada certified sites that's operated by Invest Nova Scotia, I think it is, or one of the economic development agencies. If they're looking for real estate to invest in right now, we're in a holding pattern because I don't have available subdivided land ready to go. All right, and I can't do that because now my concept paper has been stalled out to see what it might look like and what the order of magnitude costs might be to invest in it. These are some of the other intangible, non-documented challenges that we have in moving forward at the airport.
Thank you, Greg.
Seeing no more questions, any questions from staff?
No, just thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Great.
thank you very much,
thanks.
Greg.
And, I'll close with the same thing. Manage expectations, guys. There's a long road in front of us to be successful, but we're going to try our best, and I think there's opportunity there.
Absolutely, Greg. The airport I've been involved with since my political career started back in 2008, and it's been going on long before that. I'm just happy that we still have an asset that has potential. That's the end of presentations. Moving on to item 12, old business. 12.1, municipal deer governance presentation. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a number of months ago, council asked staff to try and arrange a presentation from representatives of natural resources to try and get a better handle on kind of what's going on with the deer population and what's the department doing to help with the situation. So the department officials, when we made the request, were a bit reluctant to come in and do a presentation because they really were receiving a lot of requests from the municipalities across Nova Scotia. And so what the department had been focusing on a little bit on this file was trying to develop a model and then roll out a model to manage the deer population in a way that they felt might be effective. So I sat in on that presentation. I'm not sure if any of the elected officials around the table did. So there were just over 60 people on the webinar, and it was a combination of municipally elected officials and municipal staff. But essentially, the department's idea to solve the problem has been to stand up a model for a municipal deer management program whereby a municipality would work with the province to gather data for a couple of years, propose a response to the province, receive permission from the province to implement the response, and then evaluate and go back to the beginning. So the elected officials, a handful of them who were on the call, were really engaged, and there was quite a few questions back and forth, and of course the focus was on resources, and why was the province taking this approach? And the answer that was given was that the province felt like it was woefully under-resourced to manage the provincial deer population, and somebody at the province seemed to think that municipalities might be better resourced to take on this task. So my recommendation to council is that we write to the minister and we thank them for the work that was done to try to find a solution, but that we communicate the reality that municipalities do not have the resources to manage the deer population, nor do they have the regulatory authority to manage all of the aspects that would go along with that, like weapons licenses and hunting permits and those sorts of things, and maybe ask them to sharpen their pencil and take another look at it.
So what's the wishes of council? Deputy Warden?
Yes, as our CAO's outlined, I think that's a good way forward for our municipality, maybe all municipalities. So I'd move that the municipality of District of Yarmouth take the advice of our CAO and rate the Department of Natural Resources back and include those pieces that our CAO's outlined in her comments to council.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion? I will say this much. There's in the packet, in our packet in here, the Wildlife Act was amended in 2012, and in there it says, discourage inappropriate feeding of wildlife. I think the province has to also sharpen their pencil too when it comes to thing, because a lot of the complaints that I see is, yes, there are deer that come out and eat ornamental plants, like I'm having issues with my hosta, but there's also places around the municipality in other parts of the province, including our own, where there's open feeding of them. And I think that should be more than discouraged. I think there should be fines, because you're promoting wildlife into your backyard. And unfortunately, with humans and the wild population, that creates a conflict and accidents and deer strikes and injuries to not only the wild population deer, also to the pedestrians and vehicles and people in the vehicles. So I think this motion is prudent, that they should really sharpen their pen just by looking at what they passed, not just no more than 3 years ago. So I think that's a great ask, to ask the province to go out and sharpen the pencil, more or less. That's the end of my rant. Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden.
I think that'd be me.
Can't hear you now.
Oh, that's me. No, I got you this time, Jim. So, Mr. Warden, that's a really good point. So, maybe included, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but maybe included in that is I don't want to see the District of Yarmouth and the town of Yarmouth or the municipality of Argyle have three different sets of regulations when it comes to the feeding bylaw. I think that should be something that comes down from the province. So it's straight across the board from one end of the province to the other. Because you can say, like, we're gonna charge you for, get a bylaw enforcement officer we're gonna charge you out on, the other side of Prospect Street, we're gonna charge you this, but if you go to the other side of the municipality, when you're on the Argyle line, Argyle's gonna do something completely different when it comes to enforcement or non-enforcement. So that's gonna be something that comes from the province,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And the guidelines for fines, levies, whatever they do, I think that should be provincially regulated. So how do can we include that in?
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden. I agree with Councillor Mooney's comments. I also think the suggestion that we take 3 years to collect data on how many deer are around is simply silly. And also reading through the presentation, the data points that were presented on accidents with deer, I don't believe that is accurate either, because just a fact from myself, I know I hit a deer years ago, and I know that information did not get back to Natural Resources. And I know a lot of people who have come in contact with deer with their vehicles, and that information did not get back to Natural Resources in any way. If somebody fixes their car on their own, they're not going to report it as an insurance claim because they hit a deer and they don't have comprehensive coverage to pay for the repair. They pay for it themselves. Sorry, sour grapes. Thank you, Warden.
No, sour grapes is permitted. I really do believe that the province should sharpen their pencil, and I certainly agree with what Councillor Phil Mooney had said about bylaws across the province, mandated by the province. They also have the manpower and the expertise to enforce those. Councillor Mooney.
Especially when it comes to on the science end of it, right, and the enforcement. So maybe I'll make an amendment that we include enforcement levies and regulations by the Department of Natural Resources in the province of Nova Scotia be included in our letter to the province.
All right, there's an amendment on the main motion. Is there a seconder to that? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously on the amendment. Back to the main motion. Any more discussion on the main motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Moving on, under old business, item 12.2, the Greenville Hard Scratch Road intersection. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as most people are aware, there was a fatal accident at the intersection of Hard Scratch Road and Greenville Road just last weekend, a couple weekends ago, and there's been a lot of discussion on social media in the community. There have been some emails that have been sent to individual councillors, and there's definitely an outcry at the community level that something has to be done. And so I received a request from a councillor to put it on the agenda this evening, so council could have a chat about what role, if any, municipal council wants to play in the issue.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden. I've only been in office since October, so what's that, 9 months? And this is the third time that this has come around in 9 months. I think we need to be a little more assertive with the province that some kind of change has to happen, because I haven't seen that intersection change in those 9 months. I know it's a short time, and I know we've written letters. I think we need to be a little more assertive somehow. I don't know how.
I will say this much. I'm going to take the floor next. I didn't see no flashing mics at the time. The Hard Scratch Road and Greenville Road intersection is a provincially owned road. The municipality of District Yarmouth has no control over what the province Department of Transportation, or what is it, the Department of Public Works now, what they do. we can certainly bring forward the concerns to the province via a motion of council, which we have done several times since 2008 over that one intersection. Not only that one, there was another fatal accident that happened on some of the level crossings, crossing the major highways, the 101 and the 103. We can certainly be an advocate, but what I personally have found the best way to bring forward the public concerns is education on who to contact. And the thing that I found over the past few years, or during my term is the last term is warden, and the term before that is deputy warden, was getting out to the public that, number one, we are not responsible for provincial roads, which is the vast majority in the municipality are owned by the province. And number two, the people to contact, that would be number one, the MLA, and number two is the email site that I've posted several times, dpc-occ@novascotia.ca. I'm not opposed, and I'm saying that is for the reason that I don't want to see us get outside of our lane and give the public the false hope that we can do something about that. It is out of our control, and one of the main themes of this council has been to stay in our lane. That doesn't mean we can't advocate and direct and ask and work with our MLA and the province to try to get this situation improved. What that's going to be, I have no idea. I don't know if it's a four-way stop. I don't know if it's a roundabout. I don't know if it's traffic lights. I don't know if it's driver education. I don't even really know the particulars on what happened there. It's very unfortunate that we lost a young member of our community there, but it's not in the municipal lane. It really isn't, and I don't know what more we can do other than, number one, possibly make a Facebook post through the municipality's Facebook site on who to contact, and write a letter maybe to the province and point the issue out again and offer our support to help them in any way that the municipality can through our lens. Just remember, we do not have any say or control provincial roads. We are a creature of the provincial government. And I'll stop there. I do see that there is another microphone. Deputy Warden?
Yes, Mr. Warden, obviously a very, very tragic accident, and, we lost a young man in the community who was beloved by the community, and, that's a very, very sad thing, and there has been a history of problematic accidents. They're all problematic accidents and very serious accidents at that intersection on Greenville and Hardscratch. Having said that, I was able to reach out to some provincial officials today, and I do understand that the Premier and our MLA Nick Hilton have visited the site today, just recently, probably an hour ago. I think they were there. I wasn't able to be there personally myself, but today. But we're all familiar with the intersection and some of the unfortunate events taken there. So that's very, very good. And it's also further my understanding that the Department of Transportation, or not the Department of Transportation, it's called Public Works now, will be undertaking a full review of the intersection. That's comes out of when there are terrible things like this happen. So I'm hopeful that there'll be some positive change come from this very, very tragic accident. Having said that, I would like to make a motion that we do write the Minister of Public Works, conveying our wishes for review and improvements at the site. So I'd like to start by making that motion. I've got an additional motion I'd like to make after that, and copying the MLA, obviously.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a seconder? Second by Councillor Jim Baxter. Deputy Warden, you still have the floor.
Yeah, I want to make a second motion
We have to vote on the first motion first. Okay, the next person in line would be Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, Deputy Warden, for that additional information. I do understand that as a municipal unit, we do not own the roads, the province does, but I think when it comes to this seriousness of this, I think we have to have a say.
Councillor Daniel Muse.
Well, I have to agree with Councillor Baxter here, and somewhat disagree with you, Mr. Warden. Staying in our lane, I've been hearing that a lot, but how often are we going to stay in our lane, and how many lives do we have to lose by staying in our lane? I think this has gone way too far. From 2019 to present day, I think there's 48 accidents at that particular site, and I don't know how many deaths, but 48. On the clip from CBC this morning, I think it said 46, but that was as of December 25. I know on January 1st was an accident. There's been another one. So staying in our lane, I don't agree with staying in our lane at this time. Writing a letter, I agree to write a letter, but not such a nice letter. I think it's time we step up, beef up this letter, hold our province accountable, hold our MLA accountable, and our premier. We have a mega provincial in power now. Something has to happen. I travel that 4 times a day. My coworker was in an accident last year, was off for 6 months. I agree. The sight line's perfect, except for one little blind spot coming from town going. I travel there. I agree, and a lot of it is just inattentiveness, but that's not working. The speed limit, they talked about speed limits the last time I mentioned. How about rumble strips? There's a lot of different scenarios that can happen, but nothing's happened except sight lines are clear, speed's long. It's inattentiveness. I don't disagree, but that's not working if there's been 48 accidents since 2019. So staying in our lane, completely disagree with you, Mr. Warden. No disrespect, but it's not working. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much, Councillor, and you certainly are welcome to have disagreements, which we all should. Madam CEO, you wanted to mention something?
I do, Mr. Chair, but it's not to the motion that's on the floor, so I'll reserve my
right.
contribution till the question has been settled.
I understand what you're saying, Councillor Muse, and the way that I may have come off might have been a little bit strong, but I just wanted to put out there that this is not under municipal jurisdiction. I do agree that we should, and I also agree that the letter should be strongly worded, because we are the grassroots. We are the people we are the council that people see every day, and I just don't want to give people the false hope that we have control over provincial highways, which we don't, and that was my main point. But I appreciate that you mentioned also that you disagree, and that's what we should be doing, because any decision like this is not easy. And once again, I'm not taking away from the young life that's been lost at that intersection. There should be no lives lost. There should be no accidents. What the solution is, I don't know. But I appreciate your dissension to what I said. Councillor Muse.
Yeah, so it's not about false hope, I don't think. I think our residents need to know that we are there for them in a big way. You know, we have to stand up for our residents, and if we have to stand up against the province, then that's what we have to do. So that's how I feel. Like, we just can't say, oh, please do a study, or please. We need to put some really, really meat. It might not be so nice in this letter. Something strong that you might not say to the premier or to whomever, but we need something strong and assertive, so our residents know that we are here for them and we're willing to do whatever it takes. We might get our fingers slapped, but we've all had our fingers slapped as young children and sometimes as grown people. So that's what we need that's what has to happen. And I'm glad we're not really disagreeing. You're just explaining what our role is. But I think it's time that we jump out of the lane and onto the curb, and away we go.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Lorne Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. what, excuse me, what Councillor Muse was talking about, a more aggressive letter to be sent to the province. I think I think in the past, we were so careful to be politically correct and try to get the people to understand what we're trying to say. But sometimes you just, as Councillor Muse said, sometimes you got to say, this is the problem. We need it fixed ASAP. No freaking studies. We already know that there's a lot of accidents there, but let's get it done. So I agree with Councillor Muse.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
So, see, everybody brings up good points, including Councillor Muse. It has gotten, and of course, this is an additional tragic loss of life accident, which is terrible, obviously. But I think in terms of that, the forcefulness of the letter, I think that's a good point. I think part of the way that could be done is by outlining, some of the facts that, the community obviously, and we obviously as councils recognize along with the community that this is an untenable situation, like something has to change, so that could be part of the letter. The fact, obviously that's public information from RCMP, how many, and we do have some connection with the RCMP, we fund the RCMP, how many accidents, how many fatal accidents, and the fact that, the community is upset with good reason, and we're looking forward to the province making those changes. So I'd ask that those facets to ensure that the letter's adequately strong, those additional facts be included in the letter to make the tone of it more appropriate to the situation.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Councillor Trevor Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Probably, I think there's a real consensus in the room here for sure under the circumstances that we do send a letter that's, fairly stressed on what the situation is here. Wondering if we should also have some more communication to the public who are concerned and reeling right now on where to direct their complaints, if you will, so they don't get the feeling it's falling on deaf ears with council.
I think we can do that after the motion that's currently on the floor, Councillor. I'd rather not make an amendment to this motion to muddy it. If there's something on your mind after this motion is passed, I'll ask if there's any more discussion on this. And I do know that the CAO wanted to mention something, so as soon as we vote on this current motion that's on the floor, I'm going to ask the CAO. She wanted to make a couple comments. So is there any, are you fine with that, Councillor Perry? Okay, thank you. Councillor Muse?
Can we repeat the motion? It's been a while.
Sorry. Recording Secretary?
The motion, as I heard, is that the municipality write a letter to the minister conveying their wishes for improvements to the intersection of the Hard Scratch Greenville Road and copying MLA Hilton.
You happy with that, Councillor Muse? Councillor Phil Mooney.
The only thing I'd like to add to that, Mr. Chair, to that motion, and I don't know if I need an amendment, but immediate action. Oh, have you got that? Okay.
Okay, is everyone comfortable with the motion that's currently on the floor? Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Before I pull us, I know you were going to talk about a second motion, Deputy Warden, but Madam CEO, you wanted to make a comment?
I did. So, since the accident and reading the comments and talking to people, and recognizing that even though advocacy is a clear role for the municipality in this case, the authority to actually take action, to Councillor Muse's point, at the intersection is just not the municipality's authority. So I've been thinking, what else can we do? What else can we do? So I had a great conversation with the RCMP staff sergeant today. So public safety and policing is municipal responsibility. And under the contract with the RCMP, they are responsible for the Traffic Safety Act and enforcing that under the contract. So I had a great conversation with the staff sergeant today, and he is willing to allocate some resources and undertake some very specific initiatives at the intersection to calm the traffic. Even though the posted speed limit is 80, and there are opinions on whether or not that's appropriate, we know that people are speeding there, so they're traveling above 80 kilometers an hour. We know that people are not respecting the stop signs. We know that there's distracted driving. And so in the meantime, until the province can take action to make specific changes to the intersection, the municipality can ask the RCMP to be intentional and undertake some initiatives at the intersection. So the staff sergeant is aware that I was going to make this recommendation this evening, but I would suggest that it be documented in a letter from myself to the staff sergeant saying that council heard my recommendation and supports the allocation of the resources, because you pay for the resources, supports the allocation of the resources to some significant and proactive traffic calming at the intersection.
Deputy Warden?
Yes, I'll move that Municipality District of Yarmouth write the RCMP a letter asking for some additional allocation of resources to the Greenville Road and Hard Scratch Road intersection to increase traffic calming and to better assess the situation from a policing perspective and to, in the future, get back to us, get back to council in terms of what thoughts they have further after they've had some additional interaction with the intersection.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Trevor Perry. Discussion on that? I think it's a wonderful idea. And I'm thankful that the CO had a discussion with the staff sergeant. And I'm thankful that we're going to be moving forward with this motion. But saying that, something that really bothers me, and this is about the internet, so this is a little bit of a rant. There is sites out there that report on locations of police and all that other stuff. I don't know how we're going to fix that. I think that's a discussion for a future date with our staff sergeant, but that's something that really bothers me. And I'm really glad that we're going to be possibly moving forward with the motion on the floor. So is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Did I get a seconder? Yeah, that was Trevor. I'm just trying to remember. Trevor and Trevor. Too many Trevors. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Is there any more discussion on this item? Councillor Trevor Perry.
I guess I just would like, you're addressing the social media and the comments that are made and a million different directions that people, their comments go, and I'm just wondering if there's some way we can focus their angst or complaints or whatever in the right direction through social media or our own page or something like that. Is there something you could add to that, Madam CEO?
For sure. So, we do want to be careful that the tone isn't, this isn't our problem. Because it is. It's a serious community public safety concern. But I think probably what should happen is a press release should go out tomorrow following the meeting tonight, indicating that council has discussed this issue, that council is aware that the MLA and the Premier have been attending to the file on site, that council is writing to the minister calling for action, not for studies, and that is doing what it can with the RCMP to improve traffic safety at the intersection, and then put in the information about how to contact the operations center with specific concerns. But I would just want to be careful of the tone, because council does care and they do want to do what they can. So probably that'd be my recommendation, is that we just issue a little press release tomorrow to that effect.
So I'm going to ask this to the CEO. Do you need a motion from council to do that? Or would it just be direction?
Direction is fine with me. I see lots of nodding heads.
Councillor Perry, do you have any more comment on that? Any more discussion on the item on the floor? Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
I guess, I'll wait, I've just got a more general comment, but it's not really germane to the motion.
No, there's no motion on the floor, it's just,
So yeah, there's no motion on the floor, but I would just will comment on, I had several folks, community members reach out to me via email, looking for a response about the accident and the intersection and the danger and that type of thing, and I was glad to reply. But in generally speaking, I did reply by indicating that it is in the jurisdiction of the province, but that we would do everything, and I would ask that it be put on the council agenda. And of course, it was and would have been anyway, because it's a really important and terrible event in our municipality. But I do agree that we need to take every step that we can take to move the file ahead. I mean, obviously the province is the lead, but we do play a role, to our CEO's point.
thank you. Is there any more discussion on this item? I see none, we'll move on. Item number 13, new business, 13.1, first reading of the vending bylaw V-1048-25. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a number of months ago, council asked us to do an analysis on an old bylaw called the transient vendor bylaw. And that bylaw was written sort of in a reactionary tone to some activities that were taking place in the vehicle sales industry a number of years ago in the municipality. And, council took a look at that bylaw and said, I think we can do more with the bylaw, maybe to support certain segments of the economy that we're looking to support and create a supply chain. And in particular, it was around food trucks to support festivals and events. And so we've taken some time and taken a look at the bylaw and are really modernizing it and updating it. So the piece is not just really about transient vendors. It's about vending in non-permanent structures or non-permanent types of models. And so there are significant amendments to the bylaw that are before you. So in part one, in the purpose, the idea is that council will regulate the sale or the offering for sale of food, beverages, goods, or merchandise that are not in permanent structures, whether on municipal property, private property, but within the municipality. And I would even add a correction there and include public property to that list. So what we've done is provided a definition section of the different terms that would be used throughout the bylaw. We have taken out sections of the bylaw that were specifically written for those mobile automobile sales initiatives, because the bylaw is going to be broader than that. We've included some pieces around more specifically vending and vendors. And then we've provided for exceptions that are important to community development. So things like our traditional peddlers, our fish peddlers, our forestry peddlers, our fruit and vegetable peddlers. We certainly don't want to shut down any community yard sales or kids' lemonade stands, those kinds of things. We absolutely don't want to create barriers for the not-for-profit sector to hold events to raise funds. So the exclusion section is really around those sorts of pieces. Then we do speak a little bit to federal and provincial legislation and registrations. And basically, the bylaw that's before you for first reading just says, look, if your activity requires a provincial or a federal permit or license to be compliant with our bylaw, that has to be in place as well. And then we talk a little bit about location. And the whole location section is really around maintaining public safety. So not being, too close to a street and creating a safety issue, but also a little bit about protecting people who are paying property taxes that have that same sales activity happening in a built environment. So 647 and 648 are around some key protection pieces. So 647 is the prohibition to vend within 50 meters of the doorway of a business operating in an enclosed permanent structure which is offering the same and/or similar product, right? And then 648 is just around protecting children in the schools piece, so just creating a little bit more separation between the schools. We have to bring in the requirement for the fire safety protocol, because under legislation, we're required to do that. We are bringing in insurance and indemnification, so just because of the nature of where we are at in history and people being so ready to sue other people, if the municipality is going to provide a permit, there is a responsibility to make sure that the operator has some insurance in place to cover that off and will indemnify the municipality. Because waste control and proper waste disposal is required by municipalities and important to this council, we also provide for the requirements around that. And then we actually get into the permit piece. And so basically what we've set up is an application process whereby a person can make an application for a permit that suits their activity. So the old bylaw had a limitation on the number of days, and they would have to go all the way through the application process again. And what we've done is had a more open-ended approach to that and said, look, based on what you want to do, you tell us how long you want to be permitted to do it. The big thing about the application process that's really important to communicate is the municipality cannot adjudicate an application until it is complete. That means all of the forms, all of the information, all of the fees are provided. We do need time to go through the material, and so, you know, we are saying that we need 30 days to go through the material and review it. And then there are just a few additional prohibitions around making sure people comply with the noise bylaw or any other bylaw or policy of the municipality. We don't want them leaving their mobile device unattended. We want to make sure that the sound is not offensive and doesn't interfere with, you know, other peaceful enjoyment of municipality, and those sorts of things. And then there is a provision to revoke a permit in case somebody falls out of compliance. And then if an application is refused, we have provided for an appeals process. And then there is enforcement around and we're using a summary offense ticket process for that. So with that, I think I will leave it to questions and council's wishes.
Councillor Phil Mooney.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'll make a motion that the vending bylaw V-1048-25 be approved for first reading with the inclusion of public property.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion. Councillor Mooney, you still have the floor.
I am good, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden. I like the changes in this document. Two questions. I read through it with a lens of, and don't mistake me thinking that I'm wanting to do this, but with the lens of a food truck at the beach. And I didn't know if I caught anything in there that would cover that. I saw lots of information on food trucks in lots of different locations, but
Yep, so a person would make the application, they would say what beach they... Thank you, Jenny. Yeah, so the operator would make the application and they would indicate what beach they would be next to. There are no prohibitions about vending at beaches.
Okay.
What we would say is, look, if a provincial permit or a federal permit is required to vend at that beach, we would just need that to be in place. Yep.
okay, that was my first question. My second question was, the maximum fine was dropped from 10,000 to 5,000, and I wonder what triggered that.
So if you look in the enforcement section, we've actually made a two-tier enforcement. And so we've walked back the summary offense ticket fines, but we've added the ability to make application to the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia for something that maybe is a little more serious.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'll make a couple comments. I was really interested in the exemptions part, and there was 13 different exemptions because, as we all know, the political climate nowadays out there is that we're just trying to stifle business of my kid out at a lemonade stand. They'll be happy to know that Item 4.110 is a person aged 18 years or younger operating their own lemonade or hot dog stand within the municipality is exempt. So there is 13 different things. Another one was a not-for-profit school. And my other comment about this was, I was concerned a little bit about item 6.4.8, within 100 meters of property line of a school between half hour before. As we all know, living out in rural Nova Scotia, like in Port Maitland and Carlton, there is a lot of homes and stuff where kids might want to set up lemonade stands, but it does specify that they're not allowed to set up during school hours, and the kids should be in school then, so.
But they're exempt.
Yeah, they are exempt.
Yep.
So, yeah, and that was one thing, but item 6.4.8 says, is within 100 meters of the property line of a school between the half hour prior to and the start of the school day, and the half hour after dismissal at the end of the school day. So, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm very happy to see that. I know this was a lot of work, because there's a lot of emissions, and there's quite a few additions in there, and mobile units and stuff like that. I'd like to thank staff for their hard work on this. But I was really interested in the exemptions, and we're certainly trying hard to make sure that people are still able to do what I consider normally did out in the county. So, any more discussion on that? Councillor Muse?
Mr. Warden, I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you again. Second time tonight. Lemonade stands. On a joking note, obviously. Week and a half ago, my grandchildren, 4 of them, had a lemonade stand. They made $200, but that cup of lemonade, which was watered down, cost me $20. So, I'm not sure if we should take that out. That's just on a joking note. Thank you.
I didn't know if you were serious or not there for a minute, but as I said, I'm always open to dissenting opinions, but I didn't expect that. If you can't have fun in meetings, why are you even having them at all, right? All right, is there any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Man, couldn't believe what I was talking about, how you could disagree with that, but I was ready for it. All right, moving on to item 13.2, first reading of the Water Supply Upgrade Lending Program bylaw W-1028. I'm going to say that again, W-1028-25. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Council, before you for consideration tonight are some improvements to the water supply upgrade lending program. So, I think when we were taking a look at the bylaw and thinking about supporting on-site water security for residents, there was an opportunity maybe to do a bit more with the bylaw. So, before you in the amendments this evening is a recommendation to increase the total lending amount from $10,000 to $15,000. And then the other big change is in the back in Appendix 3. You'll see that we are recommending the addition of some equipment that wasn't previously allowable under the lending program. So in addition to the foot valve, an in-well pump, a pressure tank, PVC line, or a lateral line, we're also suggesting to council that equipment for the purpose of supply, use, and conservation of potable water, such as cisterns, water from fog systems, gray water collection, and other containers, electrical connections to support the functioning of the well, and water treatment systems for drilled or dug wells be included as allowable expenses under the loan program. We think that some of those pieces would improve water security and water quality for some residents. So, in addition to actually digging or drilling a well, the items in Appendix 3 would qualify under the loan program. The other amendments that are in the package are just housekeeping amendments on the forms, just updating the forms and modernizing the forms. So I submit that for council's consideration, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Daniel Muse.
I just question the increase from 10 to 15,000. I'm just questioning what I'm wondering, is $5,000 enough? It should not go to 20. I'm not sure if you've had the chance to price drilled wells at this time since COVID's happened, but I think they've gone up significantly in the last 2 or 3 years. I would personally like to see that go up to 20,000 instead of 15, because I think there's a lot more expenses nowadays than there were in the past.
Thank you very much. Councillor, who did it go to?
Trevor Perry.
Councillor Trevor Perry.
Can you,
No, don't, you're good.
You're good.
Yep.
can you outline the terms on that and how that works if someone takes advantage of that program?
Sure, yep. So an individual who would like to borrow the money from the municipality can borrow up to whatever the maximum is that council sets in the bylaw. They have 10 years to pay it back, and the interest rate is the interest rate the municipality receives for its deposits at the bank plus a small premium. And so it's been very effective. We haven't had anybody default on it. I think we've probably had 15 or 20 since the bylaw came into effect. The $15,000 that's in the recommendation really comes from a jurisdictional scan of similar municipalities, particularly the ones in Southwest Nova. There was a bit of a conversation with Greg Shea, who administers the bylaw for the municipality, around, you know, is your general feeling that projects are coming in above that? And he didn't really think it was, but if, you know, somebody could have a situation where a well's particularly problematic, and if 20 is the ceiling, maybe they need all the 20. Residents don't borrow more than what it costs. They're not allowed to borrow more than what it costs. So if it was $7,000, that's their loan.
Councillor Jim Baxter.
Thank you, Warden. So based on the comments that you just said, I'm still going to ask the question that I'm going to ask. Why do we need a cap on it? Why, if they need to prove that they're paying for well drilling and water supply, why don't we say 50,000 to make sure that it's covered? And
So if that's going to be the case, then, so right now, the bylaw does not set an annual maximum total loan out, nor an overall total loan portfolio maximum. If the amount per loan was to be unlimited, then staff would be coming to council and that's too much financial exposure for the municipality. And so we would be recommending putting caps on annually and total caps. Because at the end of the day, there's got to be a limit to the financial exposure to the municipality. There are opportunity costs that get paid by doing this, and I'm not saying that to be negative. And so there's got to be a fiscal control somewhere on it.
Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham.
Yeah, just for clarity, and I mean, I know this is mainly about just the legislation's mainly around like getting a supply of water, but with Appendix 3, so could somebody come and just say, listen, I need a loan for the PVC line or the lateral line or the electrical connection or I want to, you know, I've got a well, but I can't really use it. It's drilled, it's been there. They could just apply for the water treatment system itself, right? If it's
That's right.
$2,000 or $3,000. So
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought that's what it was saying, but when we started talking about that, it just popped into my
sure.
mind. So it's not just about the drilling of a well or the digging of a well or any of those other pieces. It's also about these other pieces that could be standalone as well. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Phil Mooney, then me.
Plus, the other thing, if you did bring it up to 50,000, there's an ability to pay too, right? And that's a lot of money. That would be 5,000 and something dollars a year over and above what they're paying in taxes. And they said, well, maybe we might do it or two. I might be here for 3 years, and then I'll just leave the next person that buys my house is going to be stuck with 7 years of payments. So
I can speak to that if you want. So
can they walk away from it?
No. So there's a lien placed on it, and so if there's going to be a real estate transaction, then the lien is part of the discovery, and the loan has to be satisfied one way or another.
Okay, but I've got no problem with what Councillor Muse said, putting it up to 20,000. Because if we did the 50,000 maximum, there would be some financial repercussions to the municipality on how many we could do, right? It's a lot of money. Like, say, we had 15, well, Jesus, up to 50,000. We had 15 people come in this year and say we want to do the program.
1.5 million.
Yeah. So, that's, 20,000 is, I think, is not a bad number. You want to make that a motion, Counselor? I'm willing to support it.
Let's go into the first reading first, right?
Yep.
You make that change, right?
So if there was an appetite to pass a motion for first reading, it could be for first reading with an amendment in 2.4 to 20,000.
Hold on that just for 1 second, because I had one question that I wanted to ask, because I did mention that I wanted to go after Councillor Phil Mooney. Gray water collection. Are we talking about gray water collection? Are we talking about putting filtration systems on that to reuse it?
So some people have technology or are interested in technology around that. So you can clean gray water and make it potable again.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just curious, because I personally never heard of that, but I'm sure the technology's out there, and I'm sure that that's expensive. I don't know, but it was just struck me kind of funny, because we're talking about potable water, and all of a sudden then we talk about gray water. That was in here, so. I was just curious. I didn't know. Ask questions that you don't know. Sometimes I don't know anything. Councillor Lowen-Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I was gonna ask a question, and I thought it was answered, but, so then I get another one. I believe the 15,000 is sufficient. We're grasping at straws that we really don't know what it costs to do a well, whether it's a 100-foot well or a 200-foot well. We don't know that until the time comes, but, I think 15,000 myself is a good step. It's 5,000 more than what we did have. And I know a neighbor of mine who's applying for it, and he said, 10,000 wasn't quite enough probably, but he said, I'm comfortable. So, I don't think we should up it any more than what it is, but what's recommended into our lending program, 15,000. Thank you.
Councillor Daniel Muse.
I'll make a motion that the water supply upgrade lending program by law W-10298-25 be approved for first reading with the amendment to go from 10,000 to 20,000.
Just for clarity, that the amendment was from 10 to 20, you said? I think it should be from 15 to 20. Or is...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Daniel Muse, seconded by Councillor Phil Mooney. Discussion on that? I did hear Councillor Lowen-Cushing mention that in a preamble before this, because this is sort of a hybrid meeting where it's a committee of the whole and a regular council meeting combined. I do hear Councillor Cushing's concern about that, but I don't think the risk is going to increase that much over the amount that's been put in the amendment, because there is some wells out here in the municipality, and I do know of 2 or 3 out in the Carlton area that are over 600 feet deep. And the average cost, if you want to Google it, is $25 to $65 per foot. So if you're going down 600 feet, and I know there's a few because of the depth that you have to drill to get to it is quite extensive, and I do know that out in just a few miles down the road, say to my son's house, that well's only 150 feet, but if you go a few miles more down the road, 500-600 feet again. So I think it's a good bounce, and I don't see any more comments on the motion on the floor. So, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is passed. The vote is 6-1. Councillor Cushing, would you like your name recorded in the meeting minutes? Don't matter. Motion carried. Moving on, item 13.3. Deputy Warden, could you please take the chair for this item only? I need to run to the washroom. I have it all on paper. You don't need your computer. There it is. All right there. Should be back.
Okay, we're on item 13.3, amendments to violence in the workplace policy V-1068-20. There's a recommended motion. What's the will of council? Or do you want to, Madam CEO, you want to have a little?
Just very briefly, Mr. Chair. So if council recalls, this policy landed on the legislative agenda because there was regulatory requirements from the province that council have a policy dealing with harassment. And so what we decided at the staff level was to recommend just an amendment to an existing policy that would bring in the notion of harassment to complement our violence in the workplace policy. A lot of the principles were the same. So in the policy that's before you, really the change is that we're just bringing in that idea of harassment all through the policy.
Councilor Mooney.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that council adopt amendments to the violence in the workplace policy V-1068-20 as presented.
We've got a mover and a seconder. Daniel moves seconded. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, and I'll return the chair to our Warden Cunningham.
Thank you, Deputy Warden Cunningham. It almost sounds like we're the two Darryls. I am where I'm with my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. Remember that? Bob Newhart. Those were funny shows for sure. Moving on to item 13.4, private road naming request. Madam CEO?
So, Mr. Chair, our GIS technician has filed a report with council and a recommendation on naming a road to Ducks Cove Road, and the analysis in the brief is included in the package.
So you have that in your package, Council. What is your wishes? Councilor Jim Baxter.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the street name Ducks Cove Road for the private road located in Brazil Lake as indicated in the staff report.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilor Lauren Cushion. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, that's everything in that section. Item 14, correspondence. 14.1, correspondence for action. 14.1.1, letter from Becky Durham, Minister of Justice, comprehensive policing review. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in council's package this evening is the letter the warden received from Minister Drouin, along with information about the results of the province's review of policing service in Nova Scotia. And on page 2 of the letter, there are 6 specific points or foundational changes that the province wishes to make. And in the closing comments, the minister writes to the warden indicating that she'll be meeting with the municipality to talk about our role in policing. And so, because the municipality has a contract with the RCMP, and because the province is going to be looking to the RCMP to help achieve some of the standards, I think, the conversation will be around how does that impact the contract. But my recommendation to council this evening is that a response go to Minister Drouin thanking her for the letter, indicating that council's looking forward to learning more about what the province has in mind, because the package raises lots of questions. But furthermore, because the municipality of Yarmouth partners with the municipality of Argyle on the provision of policing service at the Yarmouth County Rural Detachment, that the meeting with the minister be joint so that the two councils hear the same thing at the same time.
So what is council's wishes?
Make that a motion.
Okay, moved by Councillor Phil Mooney. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that? So to be clear, that we're going to be requesting the joint meeting between us and, or with us and the municipality of District Argyle, since we share police services.
Right,
correct?
and we would carbon copy Warden Albright on that letter, naturally.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 14.1.2, request for council representative on the Yarmouth Youth Wellbeing Network. You all have that letter in your package.
Mr. Chair.
Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a little context for council. So there was a presentation received by council a number of months ago around the results of the work that was being done to kind of hear from the youth about what's it like for them to live in the community, what do they experience, what kind of gaps do they see. And so a network has developed of practitioners who in some way, shape, or form work with youth. They deliver programs that benefit youth. They work with youth directly. They work with social programs that have elements that are designed to support youth, either in home or in school or whatever. And so this network has developed. And in the letter, Ms. Hatfield indicates that all three municipalities in Yarmouth County are being approached for membership on it. So I engaged with my colleagues, the other two CAOs, to kind of try and ascertain where Argyle and the town were on this. So Argyle hasn't received their formal request yet, so they haven't done anything with it. In the town's work with them, you know, they asked for a list of who the members were on the committee. And it really is a group of people who are working for government or not-for-profit in the community whose roles kind of touch this sphere in some way, shape, or form. So it really is a group of employees who are working to deliver their mandate to their organization on this. So I share that information basically to suggest that maybe we don't know enough yet to really know for sure if an elected official is the best, sitting on the group is the best approach to support their initiatives and their mandate and their goals, or is there another way the municipality can support it? So what I'm asking for, I think, is just a little bit more time to do a little bit more work and figure out maybe how we can best support them.
What is council's pleasure? Deputy Warden?
Mr. Chair, I think through the CEO or to you, I think just maybe an understanding that the CEO would proceed as she sort of indicated, and come back to council at some point in the future with some additional information and suggestions about who might or might not sit on that organization.
I do have a question to the CEO in regards to this. Was there any expectation if a council member did sit there on what their roles and responsibilities were? Like, were they expected to be an ear to council, or their ear to council? To bring initiatives forward to us, or
well,
just input?
Yes, to all of it. Yes, to all of it. But, so this is part of the conundrum, you know, like, so the document does touch a little bit on a high level around those roles and responsibilities. What I don't understand is, so in the material, there's a piece around action items being developed at the meetings. I don't know what type of action items those are. So to understand what it might mean to have a municipal official sit at the table and maybe be asked to do something or agree to do something, I don't understand enough to know what that means. So those are the kinds of things I'd like to follow up on a little bit.
Thank you. So is council happy with that, to wait for the CAO to flesh out some more details in regards to this? I see no dissenting. Okay, Madam CEO, have direction on that. Moving on, item 14.1.3, we have a invitation of a Family Fun Day Festival happening at the Greenville Community Center. This is happening on August the 2nd. And there's a request there, Canadians are not always aware that Black and Indigenous people were once enslaved in the land and is now in Canada. Those who fought to be enslaved are pivotal in shaping our society and diverse as it is today. Therefore, they're asking that we attend this celebration. I think it's a great idea. This is a Saturday. Unfortunately, I have plans to be out of the province that weekend, so if anyone is interested in attend, which I hope there is, they're asking for an RSVP to Wanda Dowsett, wanda.dowsett@novascotia.ca. Is there anyone going to be attending? I do, yes, Councillor Daniel Muse, he just put his hand up. So if any of you are able to attend, please email Wanda that you're going to attend. I think we should have hopefully we have a good turnout. If something changes, that I am going to be around, I'll certainly be attending as well. They're asking to attend that opening ceremony on 2 p.m. Saturday, August the 2nd. Okay, I do know we're going to have representation there, so thank you very much, councillors, who's attending. And I'm going to be bringing up that in my warden's report a little bit later. Item 14.1.4, the Mariner Center Health and Wellness Fund. You all have that in your package? Any comments, questions, concerns? Councillor Muse.
I actually attended that meeting with Mr. Ehrenberg, and so there's grantees and non-grantees, and all three municipalities are all grantees. So the funding that comes from the Manor Center Health and Wellness Fund would be dispersed to all three municipalities, but they thought it would be easier if they would just disperse it to one where the town is already set up. So I think this is a good way, and I think I've talked to the CEO, and she had no concerns with this whatsoever, I believe. So I think it's good.
So is there going to need to be a motion to be made to accept these funds, Madam CEO?
So, Mr. Chair, the motion is to respond to Mr. Ehrenberg and indicate council's support for the funds to be released to the town of Yarmouth based on the taxation reasons presented in the letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is someone willing to make that a motion? Moved by Councillor Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Trevor Perry. Discussion on that? Seeing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, item 14.2, items for correspondence for information. We have 5 pieces, municipal profile financial indicators report, municipal education tax rate for 25-26, the REMO seed grants, letter to the District of Digby to NSFM, road concerns. Item, and the last one, Minerals Infrastructure Fund, Stream 1 submission. That is there for your information. Is there any comments or concerns? If not, I'd entertain a motion that council receive the correspondence for information and placed on file. Moved by Councillor Daniel Muse. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Baxter. Discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 15.1, the CAO's report. You all have that in your package. Comments? Highlights? Lowlights? Comments?
I guess I just will share how incredibly busy it is. So recreation is in full swing, development's in full swing, our own capital initiatives are in full swing. We're trying to button up some projects that have been lingering. We have successfully filled some important vacancies on staff, so we're onboarding those new staff members and trying to get them up to speed and fully functioning. So we're working really hard every day, but if you see opportunities where maybe we could do better, do let me know.
Deputy Warden?
Yeah, I'd just like to certainly state that I think things are going well in the municipality. I mean, we've got the Nova West Regional Business Park Phase 2 going on. Folks in the area have probably felt the blasting. That's a great thing. And again, one of the things that we are a little bit deficient in the municipality is commercial development. So we have a very low percentage of our tax revenue coming from the commercial side. It's mostly residential, so hopefully that will sort of incrementally move things along, and I'm excited to see that expansion take place. I mean, lots of good things going on in the municipality and adjoining town. We've got the Mariner Center, which we're partners in, underway. We've got the another project, I mean, it's entirely provincial, but the emergency facility at our regional center at the hospital is underway. So lots of big projects, and we've got the active transportation report coming forward, so that looks at the municipality as a whole. We've got some important work to do moving forward, but things are going very, very well, and thank you for being very busy. That's what we should be, but it is challenging, I know, with staff, so thank you.
Councillor Jim Baxter?
Thank you, Warden. To our CAO, congratulations on resourcing some jobs. I had the pleasure of meeting our new building inspector trainee this morning. Good to see resource in that department. I'm sure Dwayne will be appreciative. Good job.
And our municipal clients.
Yes, we can't forget our municipal clients, because that's who we're here for.
Right.
All right, any more comments, suggestions? If not, I need a motion to accept the CAO's report as presented. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, and second by Councillor, I've seen so many hands, Councillor Lauren Cushion. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, everyone, I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm going to open up the floor to each and every one of you, because something was mentioned here earlier about attendance on August the 2nd of a function that's going on at Greenville Hall. One thing I will say, it's been busy, and it's been busier for some reason this year than it has been in previous years. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you that's gone out to different community events and attended things on such short notice that I can't attend. And one example I'm going to give is today the Premier showed up in the municipality. I found out today exactly where and when he was going to be at 10:30 this morning. I could not get away. However, I do know that the deputy warden was with the Premier in the fire department, where the new tourism information center is as well. So he had a tour of that, and I do know that he's been going around with the MLA. As the deputy warden had mentioned, they had seen the site of the unfortunate accident that happened. Canada Day celebrations is another one. We all had invitations to head out to Marginal Wharf in the town of Yarmouth, but this year, being the warden of the municipality, I decided that I was going to head out to Cape Frishew this year, and lo and behold, I seen Councillor Lauren Cushion and his lovely wife there, along with you, and I'd like to thank the deputy warden and any of you that has attended these different events, because sometimes there's lots of events that's going on. There's 2 or 3 events going on, you can't make them all, but I did make it to the town Canada Day celebrations just as it was ending. They were just as I said hi Chief Deborah Robinson and congratulated her on her next term as band council chief, and I didn't realize this. She's be her 38th year. Wow, a lot of time. Some other things that I've attended, Strawberry Festivals, that was mentioned here at the last Warden's report that was coming up on the 5th of July. There's a lot of things going on, lots of yard sales, lots of events. One thing that I would be remiss not to mention is one of my favorite events coming up is the car show in the cruise, coming up this Friday and Saturday in the town of Yarmouth. That is one of our signature events of Seafest. We all must remember that we are supporters of Seafest celebrations, and this car show and stuff has expanded over the years to include over 400 cars. Those of you who know who I am, I'm a mechanic by trade. Cars and mechanical things are my passion, and it's great to see some of the old iron, some of the old cars from way back in the 20s and earlier, right up to the modern muscle cars. It's very great to see, and it's great to see that the whole municipality is busy, and the whole region is busy. It not only supports the town, but it supports every bed and breakfast, I do believe, here in Yarmouth County is booked up solid, from here to Digby to Shelburne. And it's a great event that I always look forward to, and I'm hoping to see each and every one of you out there. I could go on. I don't know if council, if you have a request of something that that you want me to say in my reports, I'm really open to it. If anyone's watching online, please reach out to me via email or even a phone call, 902-740-5332. That's my municipal phone line that you can get a hold of me. And one thing I want to mention, and I want to thank staff, someone who is behind the scenes tonight, Mark Brewer, our communications officer. I'd like to thank you very much for the heads up on the blasting that was happening out in our Nova West Industrial Park. A lot of people had reached out to me afterwards, saying, "Hey, what's all this about?" And I said, "Well, it's part of our project that council approved the expansion out there." So I'm very thankful that you guys got right on top of that, you and all the other municipal staff involved. So I wanted to put a big shout out to you, Mark. So I'm going to open up the floor. If there's any events that's happening out around in the community or something that you want to mention, please do so. I guess the first one would be Councillor Lauren Cushion.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Thank you for mentioning my wife and I being at Cape Fichu on Canada Day. But we are also invited out to Birchdale, out in Kemp. It used to be Nova Nada?
Yep.
Yeah. And we were invited out there for a Canada Day event. That's my first time out there, and it was quite an experience to be out there, right? You know, quiet, and you just well, there was quite a few people there, really. So so if anybody takes an opportunity to go, you should go, because you know, it's well worth just going there, right? So just to see what it's all about. Thank you.
Actually, I was out there many, many years ago before I had official duties closer to town, so I'm very glad to hear that you've gotten out there. Councillor Mooney.
Well, Mr. Ward, now we're going around the table, right?
Well, you can, if they don't want to talk, you don't have to.
So, Councillor Deputy Warden wasn't the only one to meet the Premier today, you know. I had the opportunity, and everybody knows what an enthusiastic supporter I am of the Premier and his political party, but I had a few minutes with him this afternoon, and one of the things we brought up, Mr. Warden, is I'm glad you got out of that Mongolian jail. I got the spam, whatever, flim-flam email that the John Cunningham is in a Mongolian jail and he needs some gift cards to get him out, and I said, I'd probably give you the gift cards to keep him in, but that's another story for another time. So I'm glad to see that you're out and that you're healthy. You got out that night, John, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really amused that you brought that up.
Yeah, so, and the other one is, if anybody has the opportunity this week, I think until Friday, is we have 2 professional hockey players in the town of Yarmouth that play at the highest level that you can. Ryan Graves in Pittsburgh, and Allie Monroe plays for the Professional Women's League. And Allie's having a hockey camp this week out at the Mariner Center, and Allie brought somebody down who's won an Olympic gold medal. So, for the American team a few years ago. So, if you're really nice out there, maybe later in the day, you might get to see an Olympic gold medal. But there's lots going on. That camp is fully sold out. And we also have the Ryan Graves camp coming up in August. And I think that's it's full. And the other good thing is maybe next year, I might be one of the instructors, because on August the 2nd, when you guys are enjoying great camaraderie, good food, and nice people out in Greenville, I will be in my 3rd day of recovery to get my hip done. So I won't be as limpy, as gimpy as I have been the last several months. I've been in some pain. And if anybody's seen me out in the public, it hasn't been fun. I haven't hit one golf ball this year. The first time in almost 60 years that I haven't hit a golf ball. So the guy said I will be as good as new next year, and I'll be ready to go. So with that, I just hope everybody enjoys the car show. Like the warden said, enjoy the rest of the summer. And in this municipal business, man, time flies.
You're absolutely right. And one thing you did, I should mention too, since you mentioned the Mongolian jail, so maybe you won't be sitting down and mentioning to people that we're being led by the cripple and the blind during a fundraising event for Camp Peniel. I had a patch on my eye and you couldn't stand up to walk. So yeah, we were in good shape that day, but we still got out in the community. You might as well have fun, right? Councilor Muse.
I had the privilege to go to the Lake Vaughan Strawberry Festival, where they served 327 meals. They sold out that day. It was a huge success. And also had the privilege to be a judge at the Rotary Rib Fest. And I can tell you that was one different experience. There's a lot of food to eat and judge. So, but it was a good experience. So, I also last weekend had the honor to take part in one of the biggest golf tournaments in Nova Scotia, known as the Victor Rodney Classic, where I finished 3rd in my flight. So I was pretty happy with that. So it was a great tournament. Upcoming events is the grand opening of the Canadian Tire Jumpstart Court on July 22nd at 10 p.m. So I think we all got invites. It'll be great to have people come out and celebrate that new Jumpstart Court, which if you ever drive by there, and I do frequently, day or night, it's always seems to be someone there. So that's a great asset to our community.
Yes, I forgot to mention that because, like I said, in the warden's report, I could sit here and for days mention that, and I'm glad that you had mentioned that because I got the invite on the 22nd. It's happening during the morning, and unfortunately, I cannot get off work in the mornings to attend that, so I'm very thankful that you stepped right up right away and said, I'll be there. So thank you for that. Councillor Perry. Oh, sorry, Councillor Cushion.
Oh, just one more thing I'd like to mention. Councillor Mooney talked about 2 professional players from the NHL going to be here for hockey schools and whatnot. And I'd just like for everyone to know a young lady over in Pembroke, Renee Olson. She's a great hockey player herself, and she's been accepted at St. Mary's University to play on the hockey team in St. Mary's. So there could be a future professional player there now, or coming, I should say. So congratulations to her, right, and her family.
She's not the only Pembroke person ever to play for St. Mary's.
Well, yeah, that's, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Trevor Perry.
Should mention that the Multicultural Festival is on August 1st and 2nd. There's a full program online for people to look up to take advantage of that.
Thank you very much. I know it's the warden's report, but I think it's great that that you all had some input on this. I think about maybe asking for a little bit of change to our agenda to maybe add things like this, because as I said, I can't attend everything, and we are all councillors. Each and every one of us are councillors for the whole municipality, and there's things going on that that I certainly don't hear about, where you might hear in your little communities across the county. So thank you very much, council. So that's my modified report. Thank you very much, everyone. Legal entities report, we all have some written ones in there. Is there any verbal under legal entities? Counselor Daniel Muse.
The Mariner Center Management Authority met yesterday, regular business, but the biggest highlight that I would like to take note was the presentation by the MC Media. They had a 17-minute video performance that they showed all the board members, and I think when we think MC Media, we think hockey immediately, but the presentation that they presented was not hockey. It was amazing. There was pickleball. There was they were out in Barrington doing the log chopping of trees, and there was just everything. It just was unbelievable. I didn't really know they did all that stuff. Remembrance Day services. So that was the highlight for me for our board meeting last night, and I actually asked them if they could cut that down, and maybe that the three municipalities could share it on their public forum, but that'd be another discussion. But it was amazing to know exactly what the MC Media team do and have done in the past. That's all I can say about that. It was fantastic.
I do have one question for you, Counselor Muse. Were you notified of the new board member that the committee had put forward?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I probably should have mentioned that. We did receive a new board member, Brian Bonia, and I met up with him yesterday afternoon. We had coffee, just so when he walked into Mayor's on Main, he recognized somebody, and fortunately it was me. So anyway, very smart, seasoned man, and I think he's going to be a great asset to the Mariner Center Board.
Okay, thank you very much, Counselor. Is there any more reports under legal entities, verbal reports? Seeing none. Advisory? Any verbal reports under advisory? Seeing none. Ad hoc, there is one. Madam CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Fence Arbitration Committee did meet, and the parties to the complaint were present, and by the time the meeting was pulled together, they had negotiated a solution. We documented agreement on the solution, and as far as we know, the issue has been put to bed. So the minutes are there, and recommended that they be received and placed on file.
Okay, moved by Counselor Mooney. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Counselor Jim Baxter. Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. The order of this agenda, is there any public comments? Okay, yeah, I just noticed that as well, because we don't want to go in camera and then come back and...
Yeah.
All right, so there's no public comments, so I entertain a motion to take a 5-minute recess before we go into camera. Moved by Councillor Phil Mooney, second by Councillor Deputy Warden Trevor Cunningham. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.